The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN. Thanks so much for kicking off your day right here. Appreciate Basil Chapman getting the early session in there, an early Tiger Technicians Hour at 8 a.m. Always appreciate Basil. And we kick things off with a little positive territory this morning. We get the S&Ps up by 23 points right now. You see the acceleration overnight. You were as low as about 68.10. Right now, we're positive by 23 points, or a third of a percent in the S&Ps. We take a look at the volume. Now, Friday after Thanksgiving, don't even count it, okay? The market has to open the indices, the markets. Can't keep markets closed for 4 days, okay, per regulations. They want price discovery. You start closing the markets for 4 days, 5 days at a time, crazy stuff can happen, right? So they have to open on Friday, but nonetheless, low volume on Friday. Yesterday, an uptick in volume, but nothing too dramatic when you look at the volume on the selling. S&Ps yesterday, 1.4 million contracts. Basically in line with what we did on Wednesday, right? Very light day coming into Thanksgiving. So a light volume pullback in the markets, and today we're bouncing again. NASDAQ 100, pretty similar action. We get some selling yesterday, but nothing too concrete in terms of the volume. About 568,000 contracts, pretty much in line with what we did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of Thanksgiving week, right? Small volume days. Today we're up by 0.5%, up 125 points. The Dow up 143 points, or about 0.3% right now, 47,491 in the Russell, up by 0.8%, or 19 points at 2492. Excuse me, is this market trading off of Bitcoin now? It seems like. I mean, check out the first headline I got. As Bitcoin finds respite. I mean, the levered bets, okay? It is always leveraged bets, folks, that can bring down a market. Because when you allow people to ultra leverage, which is what crypto does, okay, and then crypto works its way into the regular markets, which is what it's done, yeah, you better believe it presents some risk. But this morning, Bitcoin, nice bounce from the lows, up $2,700, up 3.2%, 88,510. Ethereum, up by 3.8%, up $105 at 28.71. We jump over to crude. We were just at a 58 handle. We're back above that area, testing the lows of yesterday. Critical area. If you're a buyer of crude, not a bad area to be buying. You put your stop right under where we are. Look at this low. Yesterday at 8:30, we hit a low of 58.84. Today, 58.85. How about that? Right? We come within a penny of the low, and we're bouncing a bit, but pressure to the downside on crude, off by 29 pennies at $59. We'll call it on crude. And we get some action in yields, we get some action in the dollar, and we got some action in metals today. We got yields, lower price, higher yield coming at you right now. We get the 10-year. We're at 4.1 this morning. We might be above there slightly. 4.11. So 10-year, 4.11. Higher yield. That's given the dollar a little bit of strength. You see the bounce from 99 to 99.40. And as the dollar got a little bit of strength, you had gold pull back. But even in the last 2 hours, since I've been up at about 6 in the morning, gold's not saving itself. But look at this, coming into where we were at 8 o'clock last night. Gold, we're $40 off the lows. Gold off $23 on the session, negative by about 0.5% at 42.50. Silver, negative by 55 pennies. But how about silver, man? Whew, you check out silver. All right, let's see what caption I got on here. This is a daily. And yeah, check out that volume in silver. That was an all-time high yesterday, folks, okay? And check out the volume. 138,000 contracts in silver. That's the most volume we've done in like 6 weeks in silver. That's how you break to all-time highs. Quite the acceleration. And today we got a green bar technically again today as silver continues to push higher. Some of those silver equities dramatically. And yeah, yields. We're at 4.1 this morning. We're at 4.11 right now. 4.11 and technical area in play. We get right up to the higher price, lower yield, and you hit 4%. And 4% seems to be the number right now. I said, yeah, anytime you bump up against that area and the market rejects it, whether you go back to where we were in April, pretty remarkable. That's right where you were in April, right? You back it up further than that. 2 years ago, December of 2023. You talk about the market getting ahead of itself, right? We had higher price, you had lower yield, and no, the market rejected it, and we're getting a little bit of a rejection right now. And this does not have to do with the odds of the Fed cut decreasing, which is interesting. You know, a lot of these volatilities that we've had with the yields have had to do with either the market getting ahead of itself with the Fed, that reversing, and nothing's reversing right now. You got a high probability that we are getting a cut, folks. 87% the market pricing in terms of the odds that we get a cut December 10th, 8 days from right now, and only a 12.8% chance that we get no cut. And yeah, this little run up here, look at all this volume we got. Backing up, what days? The 20th that began? Okay, so almost 2 weeks ago when the odds of a cut, yeah, November 20th, 21st, 24th, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, you make the highs. We had all the volume. This pullback has no volume in yields, folks, okay? The pressure is going to be on higher price, lower yield, which is going to put pressure in the dollar. Okay. Same thing. That's the pressure we saw on the dollar. You were at about 100.24 as you had yields creep up to 4%. Look how the dollar has sustained the weakness, even though we've gotten a bounce for yields for 4.11. And if you're getting a weaker dollar, that's going to be the wind at the back for golds. And yeah, it's been quite a little consolidation. Now, it's been a heck of a run as well. You hit the highs on volume, but we're coming into almost 2 months now. Okay, 2 months, and there's still some real pressure that could come to the downside for the dollar. Trump says he's got a new Fed chair. We're going to get a new Fed chair in May. We're probably going to get that nomination sometime this month. Okay, we're going to get a new Fed chair nomination probably this month, folks, before the new year. It's probably going to be Kevin Hassett. Now, that one, who knows, okay? But that's what the market's saying right now. If you're a betting man or woman, you'd be betting on Kevin Hassett with the highest probability. Maybe you wouldn't, okay? But that's what the market's priced in. And, yeah, you better believe the pressure is going to be on lower yield, weaker dollar, and that's going to be helping gold. Now, there's always a potential for inflation to rear its head. It is there. It is persistent. Okay, it's much more persistent than the Fed would like, but they're dealing with economic slowdowns at the same time. And so they have a dual mandate. And those dual mandates, they're battling. To talk about some of that, how about this headline? The Fed has rarely been so divided over its long-term plan for interest rates. They don't deal with scenarios like this, folks. Nobody has it figured out. Okay? The neutral rate have 11 different estimates from 2.6 to 3.9. They think the neutral rate is somewhere between 2.5% to 4%. That is a mammoth range. We're going to talk about some of this. And hey, as traders, folks, there's unknowns, there's variables. The market's going to struggle to price that. Gold is going to have some volatility as well. The pressure is going to be on the upside, but there's going to be some swings, as evidenced by the dollar, by yields, and by equities. We're coming right back. Markets in the green. Stay tuned, folks.
For potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento. A pro's pro with over 50 years of experience, Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger Zen, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger Zen, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
This portion of the Morning Market Kickoff is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Welcome back, folks. S&P's up by about 1/3%, up 22 points. NASDAQ up about 0.5% right now. And yeah, jumping back to the Fed in focus as you get a little bit of volatility with yields. Lower price, higher yield coming at you yesterday. Now, that is not a result of the Fed and the difference in terms of what the market's expecting, but that one is going to swing as well. And what's great is when you're talking about the expectations for interest rate cuts, okay, you're talking about volatility in yields, currencies, commodities, and of course equities. Okay, now as I mentioned, you're talking about 11 different estimates in terms of what they're talking about for the neutral rate of growth. Okay, 2.6 to 3.9% is where they think that they're going to end up. What's the end game? The high estimate of where interest rates should end up, as high as potentially 4%. The low end, yeah, you're only talking about just under 3%. Okay, inflation's still a problem. And you have, when you talk about the disagreements, this is the number of different estimates of the neutral interest rate. And as you can see, okay, it becomes somewhere where you can disagree as you're coming out of a cycle, right? When they're coming out of the cycle in 12, 13, right, 2014, there's some disagreement. How fast to go? How low to go? Where is the economy? Look at the disagreements now. Okay? And all that points to is that there are unknown variables here. And the market is at a very difficult time forecasting where the Fed's going to be, and I think that's going to be a problem going forward. It's not just going to be as easy as we're going to cut our way. As you cut your way into everything, I mean, imagine, okay, and I want lower yields, folks. I want lower mortgage rates. I want lower car payments, right? But mortgage rates, real estate, you better believe it, man. But one thing you got to consider is if we have inflation right now, okay, and you drop mortgage rates from, let's say they're at around 6.5% right now, being kind, probably 6.5%, and you ever get down to the low fives, my goodness, you ever get a four handle, the whole world's going to refinance, okay? And they're not, okay? But you better believe it's going to open up quite a spigot. That's the reason why the Fed has the overnight lending rate. It allows people a greater ability to access capital at a cheaper rate. You access that capital, you drive the economy. And there is an obscene amount of equity in households that has not been tapped because people don't want to refinance. That is sitting there as well. So if inflation is persistent, the point is you can't just cut your way without there being problems. Okay, because if inflation is persistent right now and nobody can refinance unless they have to refinance at 6.5%, what's inflation going to look like if we get a full percentage point of cuts over the next 12 months and people are able to refinance at 5.25%, even lower potentially? It's a huge, huge benefit for the economy, which is why most politicians will always want lower interest rates, right? And that's the battle. But guess what? As traders, we got some volatility coming down the line. Okay, lower price, higher yield right now, the 10-year at about 4.11. The dollar with a little weakness to 99.43, bouncing from the 99 area. And yeah, one of the big benefactors there is going to be the metals and commodities, with gold up, down by $20, but well off the lows. And you know, you look at the dollar, folks, okay? We're going longer term. Let's pull up a monthly. Now, we are in quite an uptrend channel since the lows of 2008, okay? But you better believe there's some real possibility for volatility. We have been sitting at 100. Okay, that's been a nice area since 2015. You get below it, that's an area of resistance. You get above it, that's an area of support. We're below it right now. Okay, that's an area of resistance. And what's dicey here is which one's going to win out? We got this uptrend channel that, boy, you're bumping into it, and it's going to take some months before this thing hits. But you break below that, you break below 100, you break out of this channel, and boy, you know, there is more political pressure on the Fed than we've seen in some time, and that pressure is for a lower yield, it's for a weaker dollar, and there's some real room on this chart for lower prices, okay? The only time the dollar's been above where it is right now was on that run up in 2022. Now remember, in 2022, the U.S. Federal Reserve was the only game in town, right? They hiked before everybody else. Everybody else had a problem. Everybody else had inflation. And they had weakness that didn't allow them to hike the same way we did. We had American superiority, right? All those things that happened. Well, guess what? That was pretty short-lived, because then we cut, and then you get the run-up early this year with the election. Okay, now that was supposed to be the run-up that was going to be massive tariffs, massive inflation. Now, inflation's been persistent, but the economy is weakened. And so you look at this chart, and you go back to 2022, which is a period of about 23 years. Okay, only during that time has the dollar been stronger. There's a real chance here, and I try and wrap my own brain around this, okay, in terms of saying, man, you're telling me that gold's at $4,200 an ounce, and you think that the dollar might show some weakness? Well, you better keep your eye on those technicals, man, because this is like a nice little triangle forming, and you're bumping up against 100, you're bumping up against the lower channel line, and we're going to get a new Federal Reserve chair. It's a monumental change, folks. Okay, Trump in his first term put in Jerome Powell. That's how long the influence can maintain of a Federal Reserve chairman or chairwoman. Trump in his first term nominated him, and now he's the worst guy in the world, right? Powell. Well, we'll see what happens when we get the next one, because there's risks on both sides of the market. Everybody would want to run it as hot as you can run it. But there are risks, and boy, you know, you start dropping rates to where we haven't seen, and you're going to see a release of capital that is going to be extraordinary. All right. Hey, yeah, you know, these boat killings, okay? I've been talking about these before this whole deal. Anytime that you categorize somebody to diminish their rights, you better be careful, folks, okay? Government officials always love categorizing people, domestic terrorists, right? Anything that they can do, you slap a name on them, and it diminishes their rights. And, you know, the bummer of it is you go from something like this where you just say anybody's guilty, you blow them out of the water, okay? And whether the second strike was ordered, whatever it is, nobody's getting tried for any of this. Even when people survive, nobody's getting tried because they can't try them. You know, we used to live on that. You want to be able to try in a court of law and never just trust that the government says, don't worry, that person was guilty, we killed them, and we never proved anything in a court of law, and they're claiming it's a war. And again, another term you slap on it to erode rights. So that one makes no sense, folks, and I don't think it does in a national, reasonable term. We're coming back talking equities, folks.
Better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstack's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstack releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com and hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com. Then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps up by 17, NASDAQ up by 102, and we got the market in positive territory. And, folks, my dad, he used to hand out, okay, if you're just new to TFNN, even if you're new in the last, 5 years, 10 years ago, all right, my dad was handing out copies of the Constitution, okay? He was in the Marines, joined the Marines at 17 years old, was excited to go fight in Vietnam, thankfully. This is his words. He was literally given orders to go over there, okay, and that's right when they started pulling people back. And So he didn't go, and he was devastated because him and about 11 of his buddies in South Boston signed up the same day to go fight in Vietnam. He was 17. He lost his dad when he was 14. His mother had to sign him up for the Marines when he was 17. Can't imagine the mom, but she didn't have a choice. My dad was on a mission. And he would hand it out, okay? So he goes, this is not some newfound. And what I don't understand about this one, okay, is that, you know, imagine the guy you hate the worst than anything making these decisions, okay? So because everybody who loves Trump loves to defend the decisions getting made. But if it was ever made under Biden, there's no way the consistency would be made. The last thing you want is a government able to kill whoever they want because they say that they're an enemy and they say it's a war. That's not what's going on. This is not a war going on, okay? That's not what's occurring. They're calling it that so they can do whatever they want. That's not what you want happening. Okay, there's been survivors of these boat trips. If it was very easy to know who these people were, what they've done, and they had proof of it, they'd put them in jail. They don't have proof of it. They can't prove the people they're killing are guilty. Okay, and then you go back to something like, you know, if you haven't checked out, folks, the John Adams show on HBO Max, okay, the John Adams miniseries, okay, which is this one right here. You know, one of the most remarkable parts about this miniseries, and I've watched this ages ago, but I always think about it when conversations like this go on, is when he defended the British troops, okay, and he defends those British troops under the premise that what kind of a country are we building here, man? You know, this is not about just hanging whoever you want. We're about, literally, about justice, equality, no government overreach. And he defends British troops, okay? And, you know, now it seems like you don't want the president, folks, okay? Because there's going to be bad people that become politicians. You do not want the president being able to kill whoever they want and never showing up in court. Don't get too complicated here. Don't allow people to convolute their arguments, okay? It's very, very simple. And people who are speaking against it, okay, as in arguing that this makes perfect sense, find me somebody who's not a Trump supporter who agrees with this. You agree with the president, that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything they do. You should agree with what they do if they're going to agree with it if the next person does it, okay? If Biden gets elected next term again somehow, or let's say that his son gets elected, right? Let's say that Biden's son gets elected. Do you want him having that power? Are you going to trust him when he says, don't worry, we're in a war and they're combatants, so we're just going to kill them all and we're never going to present anything in court? It's not a reasonable argument. And it's not the way the country was founded, folks, okay? And you should stand up for this stuff because it's quite a line you cross when you can kill whoever you want for whatever reason you want and you never show up in court. This one makes no sense, and you can have a line. You don't have to support everything. And the fact that you had people at Congress coming out and saying you don't have to follow illegal orders, and that was a concern, now it makes sense, right? They had seen what was going on. They had seen that there were orders getting done. They had survivors after strikes. You had more strikes just to make sure everybody was dead. I said, what is going on? We have to make sure. Okay? I thought it was always common sense that, of course, you don't just follow every order, right? The whole joke about, not the joke, is that you could always say you're following orders, and of course that's not an excuse, because of course orders can cross over, right? And you know, I would never, okay, defend the ability for the government to kill whoever they want. Folks, they're small skiff boats, okay? And yeah, drugs are a problem. Then why aren't they getting arrested? Because they can't prove anything in court, okay? They can't prove anything in court. And if that doesn't worry you, that the government can do whatever they want without proving anything in court, then you're probably just a fan of the person running the government and not the actual policies that are put in place if somebody else was in government that you didn't agree with. And that's not how government functions on a longer term basis. So there are lines, man. And, you know, go watch that John Adams miniseries on HBO Max. It's an outstanding miniseries anyway, man. Always a great series talking about history. But yeah, go watch the part where he makes sure that the British troops, they get a real lawyer. Because guess what? America, it's going to be founded on the government having to prove that people are guilty before they just hang them. That was our second president, John Adams. Think about that today, right? If somebody stepped up and said, these people deserve a trial. What is going on? What is happening? That man becomes president when he does that. Oh. All right. Let's talk a little bit of YouTube. So, deep fake. What's amazing here is that this one goes from, now YouTube, Google, it's been on fire. YouTube's quite an asset. There's almost nothing like YouTube, man. YouTube, you talk about generational, right? Who can access what in terms of, you got kids, gen whatever. They all are on YouTube, from grandparents to children, okay? Alphabet's on fire, of course, with Gemini recently. But yeah, you look to YouTube, and so they're trying to stop the deep fakes, but how are they using that detection tool, and are they training it? So a tool that uses creators' biometrics, right? Well, we got face. Everything now is your face. You log into everything. To help them remove AI-generated videos that exploit their likeness, and allows Google to train its AI models on that data, though. Okay? So they're letting people sign up for a quote-unquote likeness detection. But meanwhile, they're using that biometric data to train their models. It's probably going to be a net positive for them versus just them doing something for the creators, right? YouTube told CNBC that Google has never used creators' biometric data to train AI models, and it's reviewing the language used in the tool's sign-up form to avoid confusion. You think it avoided confusion for folks, or do you think it stated exactly what they wanted it to state? Because they want to use every bit of data they can. So what do? They say, upload all your biometrics. We'll use that to help you, right? And meanwhile, they want all your biometrics. They want you to tell it that you can use it. And they're going to use that biometric for what? For AI, man. But this is going to be the battle, right? How do they combat the AI onslaught that is here, folks? Your likeness will be one of the most valuable assets in the AI era, and once you give that control away, you may never get it back. Yeah, and that's the CEO of some company which helps individuals protect their likeness from being misused. And yeah, I bet he's in a good spot of business right now, right? You want a growing industry, folks? Growing industry? How about protecting people's likeness from AI? And good old John Adams, speaking of, born in Braintree, died in Quincy. Born in Braintree, died in Quincy. Braintree, Mass, Quincy, Mass. Good old Massachusetts, man. All right. Yeah. No such thing as just following orders, folks. That's where things go very awry in history. I think we all would agree on that one. Maybe we won't. I don't know. There's all these things I thought we used to agree on. Do we not agree that somehow following orders is not always a good thing to do? Pretty sure history says the contrary. We're coming back, folks.
Trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
For traders who crave risk, Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs provide opportunities to magnify short-term perspectives with up to 3 times a daily leverage, utilize bull and bear funds from both sides of the trade, and trade through rapidly changing markets. These are highly leveraged ETFs with daily resetting designed for short-term trading, not long-term investing. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the Direxion. For up-to-date pricing and performance, go to Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at direction.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? TFNN is your gateway to the world of trading and investing. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, TFNN empowers traders and investors of all skill levels with top-notch investing systems, strategies, and techniques. It's time to protect and grow your money with insight you can trust. Join us live Monday through Friday during market hours for exclusive content that moves with the markets. At TFNN, we bring the trading floor to you. Our seasoned hosts are here to answer your calls and questions live on the air. Check out the Tiger's Den for just $1 and follow us on YouTube and become part of our vibrant community. And remember, at TFNN, we're so confident in the value we provide that we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on all new premium newsletter subscriptions and services. You have absolutely nothing to risk, so why wait? Tune in live to Tiger TV and transform your trading journey. Because when you know better, you invest better. Join us and experience the difference today. TFNN, educating investors.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. And yeah, Google shares on quite a tear recently. You're talking about a run from 142 in April to 328 recently, and it's almost a straight one-way trip, man. Put this thing on a monthly. And volume-wise, pretty decent volume. All the way, sustaining that level. You get some real volume in May. But look at this volume. You break above the highs. October, you do 476 million. You do 531 in November. You break higher above that area, and you do it with volume. All right, we jump around to some other equities. Let's go back to a daily. You got Tesla shares, basically flat, up 32 pennies. We check around. Amazon up by $1, up 0.5% this morning. Microsoft up by $2, up 0.4%. We jump over to the big dog, Nvidia, up another $5, up 2.9%. Man. AI stocks. AMD up by 2.3%. Oracle's up by 3% right now. Broadcom up by 1 percentage point as well. You jump over to Dell, up by 2.8%. Mr. Dell and his wife, something like $6.5 billion for accounts for kids, savings, making use of that $170 billion wealth that he has. And this thing, you talk about a run. How's that for a run? From $32 in 2022 to $180. You double top this year, though. Quite the pullback. But Dell up on that news as well. Dow rolls over a bit. So what do we got? We got Procter & Gamble now by 3.3%. All right, Disney lower by 1.3%. Chevron lower as well in the Dow. NVIDIA, the big gainer there. Home Depot off by 1%. You jump over the NASDAQ 100. Yeah, NVIDIA, big gainer. AppLovin up by 6.5%. Shopify up by 4%. The IT sector, basically all green. You jump over the S&P 500. I mean, you got a lot of red out here. You know, you take out the IT sector. That's the NASDAQ 100 right now. You're up by 0.8%, and the Dow was basically flat. S&P's up by 0.3%. All right, we jump back to Bitcoin. Catches a bid. We're up by $3,500. Look at this. We're catching a bid. Even while I'm on the air, we're pushing 90,000 right now. Bitcoin's up by 4%. You jump over to MicroStrategy, up by 4.7%. $155 was the low yesterday. You're at 180. You can see why people like trading this thing when you're talking about volatility. Now, this is what we were talking about yesterday. Okay, this story was updated last night, though, at about 4:30. Yeah, yesterday. I was reading it last night again. So they created a $1.4 billion reserve to fund future dividend and interest payments, okay? This reserve for MicroStrategy would cover at least 21 months of dividend payments. Over time, it plans to maintain enough cash in the reserve to cover up to 2 years of payments. That number right now would be 21 months. Okay. the net asset value, which compares the firm's enterprise value to the value of the Bitcoin holdings, is at 1.17 on Monday. If that thing goes negative, okay, its CEO had suggested last week that the firm could sell some of the Bitcoin. We can sell Bitcoin, and we would sell Bitcoin if we needed to fund our dividend payments below that 1 NAV. He said that on a podcast on Friday. Probably shouldn't have said that. It's getting a lot of attention. Noting that it would only be carried out as a last resort. Okay? I'm getting to one more part. Here we go. So investors historically have looked at Strategy's steady accumulation of Bitcoin as a signal of confidence in crypto markets. It doesn't matter. You should not consider that. Their only game in town is to basically leverage everything they can at all times into Bitcoin, okay? After a week of not adding to its Bitcoin pile, Strategy purchased 130 Bitcoin for an aggregate price of almost $12 million, the company said. Monday, it used common shares to fund the purchase. Now, here's the last part of this. There's the mathematical side of me that says that would be the absolute right thing to do. And this is to sell Bitcoin if that NAV is below $1, okay? Is below 1, excuse me. And there's the emotional side of me, the market side of me that says we don't really want to be the company that's selling Bitcoin. Generally speaking, from me, the mathematical side wins. The mathematical side says to sell. Do you know what's going to happen in this equity if MicroStrategy starts selling Bitcoin? Watch out. Yeah. The shares are down 65%. Okay. Strategy said it expects to report operating income that could range from a loss of $7 billion to a profit of $10 billion. I'll give them a little more upside. The range varies so widely because accounting guidelines require Strategy to value its Bitcoin at market value at the end of the quarter. And yeah, depending on where Bitcoin ends up, imagine they're giving you an estimate of where they think Bitcoin's going to end up. God knows where Bitcoin ends up. By the end of the year, the end of the month, the end of the week, the end of the day, right? Whew. Yeah, you jump over to Costco. Costco's suing for those terrorists back. Hey, as the president says himself, right? He pays no taxes, and that's what the law says. He'd be a fool to pay taxes, the president, because the law says he doesn't have to. Well, the same should apply for the businesses. They would be fools to pay taxes for taxes that they deem illegal. And we'll see if it plays out. But yeah, they're getting to the front of the line. And boy, one of the things that was difficult when you're listening to the arguments, the oral arguments made for the tariff case at the Supreme Court, was the justices just imagining how difficult it might be to even return this money if possible. The backlog in that government situation right now could take years to get that money back, and so not sure how that's going to be. But yeah, there was a December 15th deadline that could prevent the tariffs that it already paid from being refunded. So they file ahead of that deadline. And yeah, we'll see, and pretty much just await what the Supreme Court's going to say on those tariffs. And yeah, you know, if you're trading MicroStrategy, okay, and listen, everybody makes mistakes, okay, but this is quite a financial game of accounting. And it's being run by a person who literally cooked the books for this company 20 years ago, right? And lost billions overnight when they figured out that they were just creating forward revenue and pulling it forward that wasn't real, all this stuff. Bitcoin's like the perfect avenue for that. And it's not even illegal. This time he's just doing it outright. But everything is built on these magnificent leveraged, guaranteed returns that defy any type of reasonable logic unless you price in a dramatic amount of risk. So, you know, trading it, I get, but you better believe there's some real risk, man. If you're trading this thing, make sure the capital you're trading is risk capital. All right, S&P's up by 17 right now. Gold Bouncing off the lows. Gold down by $19. You jump over to silver, down by 0.8%. One more segment, folks. We got the VIX with a 16 handle, 1678. We'll come right back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter, a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps up by 14, NASDAQ 100 leading the way, up by 0.7%. You got tech stocks yet again plowing this market higher. Palantir up by 4% right now. CLAC up by 2.3. AMD up by 2.3. Intel up by 3.3. Some of the other leaders, Boeing up by 7.6%. Let's check out Boeing shares. There we go. What's going on with Boeing? Expects year-over-year increase in deliveries of its 737, 787 models. Excuse me, let's get this. And the DOJ penalty will flip into 2026. They're going to complete the Spirit purchase this year. Higher deliveries will be a large driver of positive cash flows. So you're getting a bid. You're up by 7%. All right, quite a pullback. We come right into the highs of earlier this year. I'm going to put this one on the radar. That's a nice area. You test that technical area, the bounce we had early in the year. You pull back from 240 to 180. We're going to need a meaningful bounce on some volume, but today might do it. Okay? I mean, you traded lower. Look at this volume we got. November 17th, 50.4 million. The pullback on earnings, 64 million. Now, that was a nice bounce on a holiday week. You did 30.5 million shares in only 3.5 days. We'll see what we can do today. Because you're coming into, look at where we are. We're coming into this October 30th bar, these 2 days. October 29th and 30th, between the 2 days, you did 40 million shares. Whew. So that's going to be a little bit of a wall of volume from the 200 to 220 area. But Boeing, yeah, 180 has been a nice technical area. You see it whether it was support in 2023, an area of resistance in 24, an area of resistance early this year, and we're bouncing from 180 and Boeing up by 7.1%. All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Basil did his show at 8 a.m. That's coming up right now. We got our man Steve Rhodes, the Trader's Edge at 11, Fast Market at 12, Larry Pesavento at 1. I'll see you at 3 o'clock, folks. Have a great day, everybody.